Happy Tuesday. Oh my gosh. So, like, Mercury retrograde has been messing me up, man. So, I recorded yesterday, like, literally. I did a recording yesterday, and it took me forever because when I first started, I was recording for like 6 minutes or so, and I looked down and it wasn't recording anything. And so I had to start all the way over. And when I started all the way over, you know, I thought everything was good and dandy. It was long too. And when I went over it later, before I posted it, you know, when I was actually recording yesterday, I didn't see the sun, like, at all. Like, it wasn't that bright. Like, I could still see my face, literally, while I was recording yesterday. But when I went to go review my video, the sun was just, like, blocking my face the whole video. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't post this. So my whole face was just covered with sun. Like, it didn't even matter if I moved to the left or right. It was just blinding, you know. And so I was going to post it, but I was just like, no, I might as well do it over. So I'm gonna try it again today. So I've been observing Mercury retrograde, like I've been talking about, you know, and I have noticed a lot of things, you know, as far as the stagnation, especially with technology. So, like, I've noticed that a lot. Another thing I've noticed, though, I've been reviewing, and like I've been kind of like going over my old recordings and everything, and it's so weird because I did these recordings whenever I have on podcasts before, and I haven't really been through them. Like, it's been a while since I've actually listened to my old recordings. I think it's been like a year or so. And so I was going back through my story and everything, and it's funny because the recordings I actually came upon were like the ones where I was speaking on Thanksgiving of 2019, right before me and my ex-partner started fighting, you know, until we broke up pretty much. And I had came across those recordings, so I was listening to them, and I was just like, this is crazy. Because, you know, like, with me, like, I have a strong sense of, like, photographic memory. And so, like, when I go back through my older recordings, I can actually picture myself being there. And, like, it's just crazy. So it made me think about those times, right? But it was, like, negative. So it wasn't, like, I was being nostalgic about the past. But it's weird because, you know, it's Mercury retrograde right now. And it's, like, that had to be, those recordings had to be the ones that, like, took place, you know, back in time when my journey actually started. And so, it's funny because, like, when I was going through my older recordings, like, I picked up a lot of things, you know, that I may have missed in the beginning of my journey. And so, it's just crazy, like, just listening to myself, you know, talk about it. Because a lot of things back then hadn't came into fruition back then, you know. So, like, I was just kind of talking about it. But it's weird because, like, now as time has been moved on, you know, like, I'm starting to see a lot of things come into fruition from, like, what I was speaking on my podcast, or just, like, in general, you know, of my journey or my dreams, especially my dreams. And so, it's just crazy, you know. But I was saying, like, before, that I was, like, really proud of myself that I've come, like, really far, you know, because I've come really far compared to the person I was back in 2019 or even 2020, you know, just in general. And so, because there's a lot of things, like, I came across when I was listening to my recordings, and it just made me reminisce, like, back from the beginning of my journey, and it just made me like realize how far I've come. You know, it's crazy, you know, because I say I was pretty mature back then. I was just I was younger, you know, but I was still mature, because I'm still the same. I believe I'm still the same person I was back then, but like just more mature, to be honest. But I grew, you know, and so like I was saying the last video, you know, I'm proud of myself, because like even, you know, thinking back to the past and things of that sort, you know, before I even started my journey, you know, there's a lot of things I missed back in the past, you know, especially with my ex-partner and stuff. And you know, as I had to go through my journey over time, you know, it made me reflect on the past. Like I always did every now and then, but like I was already healed from it. I've been healed from the relationship, right? But the craziest thing is like, it was a part of my journey as far as me transforming myself, because, you know, it started back then, right? So when I think back to it, like I've grown so much, you know, it's crazy. But I did miss a lot back then, because he was like, there were signs, you know, there were certain things that he would say, but he was the type, like, he would do stuff behind my back, so I didn't really know, like, the truth, right? And, I remember one day that we were, this made me remember this time, right? Because I didn't really forget about this, but, like, I don't really reflect on a relationship anymore, because I really don't care too much about it. So, like, I don't think about it, but, like, while I was reminiscing the other day, you know, it's crazy, because I remember, like, when I was with him, you know, right before we broke up. So this is around this time. So after Thanksgiving, you know, I'll say that's when our fight started. And it just never ended until I left, right? So, like, it was around this time. We were just fighting all the time. And, like, I remember one day I was in a room, and he was in the bathroom, but it was connected to the bedroom, so I could see him, right? So he had the door open, and he's getting ready. And he was brushing his teeth, and I remember he looked at me. He peeked out the door, and he was like, do you think you'll be able to survive if you had nothing at all? And I just looked at him like, what? Why did you ask me that question, you know? And he didn't answer me. He just looked at me weird, and he kept brushing his teeth. And I was just like, dude, why'd you ask me that question? And he's like, do you think that you'll survive if you had... So he started doing different scenarios, right? So he's like, do you think you'll be able to survive if you had no food for like a week? And I was just like, yeah, why wouldn't I survive that? Because in my eyes, like back then, I pretty much had the same mindset that I have now. So like, because I did a lot of things back then on my own too. So when he asked me that question, I was just like, duh, like, that's stupid. Like, why would you even ask me that question? Of course I would survive, like, you know. And that was my answer to him, but I was serious, you know? And so he started doing different scenarios, like, so if you didn't have food for a whole week, do you think you'll be able to survive? Or if you didn't have water for this amount of time, and you had no one to call or no one to call upon to help you, do you think you'll be able to get out of that situation? And I remember I just looked at him and I was like, duh, you know. But he never answered my question on why he asked me that question. Like, he literally just said it and just kind of like kept it pushing, even though I was questioning him, you know. He just said, oh, I just wanted to ask you the question. I just wanted to see what you would say. It was weird, right? So that was one red flag that, like, back then, you know, I considered it as a red flag, but I just didn't know what he was talking about and why he asked me the question. But, you know, as time went on, on my journey, I realized, like, that's crazy. Like, out of all questions, him asked me that just for me to be in that same situation, not even a freaking year later. It's freaking crazy, right? And so certain things like that, like, I missed. But as I grew on my journey, I started to put the pieces of the puzzle together, and I just didn't trust him. I don't at all. And it's crazy that I was always like stuck in situations like that, especially in Cali. It's crazy. It's freaking crazy. But I made it, and like, even if he was doing stuff behind my back, and I know he was, because that was literally around the time that he started arguing with me for no freaking reason, and they pretty much started being weird towards me, right? And I just didn't know what was going on. That's why I left, right? So like, that was just in one story, right, that I kind of missed back in the day, but over time, it made sense. It makes sense now, definitely now. It was confusing at first, but now it makes sense, It's crazy. He did that, and but I was saying I was happy the other day that I took the leap of faith on myself, and I kind of kept it pushing and didn't chase after him, even though he wanted to be single back then. Like, our fights was like, he wanted to be single because, I don't know, he always said that he wanted to be free because he felt like he was a free spirit. So he always wanted to be free, which is fine with me, but I was just like, okay, whatever. If you want to be single, that's fine. Like, and so we already like had a plan that we're gonna like split up, right? And so like, we wouldn't even sleep together in the bed or anything. Like, I slept in the kids' room, in their bunk beds, whenever they were gone. And it's funny because like, I think it was like after Christmas, I was coming up with plans in my head on what my next moves were gonna be, And so he was gonna go back overseas because he had a business out there or something that he had started. And so he's gonna go back over there, to work on his business and stuff, right? And so we weren't even talking anyway, so I didn't really care. I didn't really care, right? And so I remember I had to take him to the airport. So I took him to the airport, and I remember when we got to the airport, but before we even get to the airport, I remember him telling me that he had was going to go into business with this female or whatever. And he said she was older, and that she knew her, like she had a lot of connections and networking, with the business that he was trying to go into, right, overseas. And so he said that she was over there, and she was already she was pretty much well known out there. And so he was gonna work with her, and he said it was just a business partner. It was nothing serious, but in my eyes, I was just like, okay, whatever, So he was telling me about this lady and how she had a lot of knowledge with businesses and stuff, and she was gonna help him with his business, right, when he went out there, and they're gonna lift it up, get it off the ground and stuff, and get the supplies. And so when I was taking him to the airport, when he's leaving, I remember him looking at me, and he's like, I need you while I'm away, I need you to come up with a business plan, And so whenever I come back, we can start a business together. But in my mind, I was thinking like, this is stupid because like, didn't you say you want to be single? Why would I want to go to business with you? He just wanted my ideas, I think, because it's just pointless to me. That's what I thought back then. And so I was just like, yeah, okay. Okay. And so he's like, come think of a business plan, and we can go to business together when I get back. And I was just like, okay, whatever. But I thought we were breaking up, stupid. So like, it's so crazy because like, I didn't believe him at the airport because like, he was a type where he would always talk about going to business and being productive and just being productive in general. And so that's why I was attracted to him in the first place, right? But like, after being with him for a while, like, I realized like, we started like literally every time we have parties or anything, like, he will always talk about like his goals and his ideas on what he wants to do and how he's gonna take action and all this stuff. And I used to get excited back in the day, like, yeah, let's get this thing going, like we could get this thing popping, but and then he would be on board, but then like over a while I started realizing that it was like he wasn't taking any action, right? And so like, when we have parties and he would talk about these things, we would just like laugh at him because we always say like it was the boom boom room, right? So you guys know what the boom boom room is, right? So like, on Life with Martin Lawrence, he always, when he would dream and stuff, they'll say it was the boom boom room, right? And so like, every time he would say stuff like that, like he wanted to go into business or start his own company and all this stuff, right? He'll get all excited and into it, like literally, and we would just be laughing like, okay, this is the boom boom room, like we always say that, right? So whenever just because he never took action on it, it was like always a dream. And it seemed like no matter how close his dream could be, he would still put it on the back burner just to do nothing. It was so weird. So I noticed that when I was living with him. And so when I dropped him off at the airport and he wanted me to go think of ideas to go into business with him, when he got back, I didn't really have faith in it, so like, I didn't get excited. I went back to the house and I literally started to like go inward and actually think, and get my thoughts together, because I was already thinking of a plan, but I just didn't know exactly what my plan was going to be, but I knew I had to leave, right? And he was being super shady, and so like, along with a lot of other people, so I was just like, okay, whatever, I'll think of something. And so I didn't think about a business with him. I just let him go, like literally. And that's when the truth started coming out to me, like more and more over time. Like as soon as he left, I started getting more information, like regarding what he was doing behind my back, and it was with a female, right? And how he partnered up with her behind my back and all this stuff. And you guys know me, like if I hear stuff, right, like I'm going to confront you. I'm going to ask you about it first before I actually judge you, or not judge you, but like make up my own decision about you, right? So I give them the benefit of the doubt. And so I gave him the benefit of the doubt when I first heard it. But when he called me to check up on me, I confronted him about it, right? And he pretty much said, what he said, he was like, okay, now that you know the truth, then there's no turning back from it, because you know the truth. Pretty much the rose-colored glasses are off my eyes, and like there's no way around it. And he's pretty much admitting to it, pretty much, right? And so I was just like, okay. But so what I did, he wanted me to stay longer. to pay a utility bill or something. And I acted like I was, because whenever he would be gone, he would have his friends check up on me. And he always do weird stuff when I break up with him to get me back, right? And so this time he was overseas this time, so I was able to pack all my stuff. I told him I was gonna stay longer, but I didn't. I packed all my stuff, me and the kids' stuff, and I literally bounced out, literally. And like, for real, literally, guys, like, I'm not even kidding you, like, the same night I left was the night that I got my power back, like all my power back, I believe. Like, because I don't know if you guys remember my story or not, but like, that's the night where like I had all this crazy stuff happen with me, with my friend's cats. And then I had the incident with the red light in her room too, the same night, and like all this cool stuff was happening, right? And so that's the night I realized I literally had gifts. Like, I didn't even know I had gifts before that night that I left. So he was already gone, but the last night I was at his actual house, when I put the keys under the couch in the backyard and my car was all packed up, I left, right? And that night is when I realized I had gifts, and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And it hasn't been like the same. My life hasn't been the same ever since that night. And so that's why I say I'm happy that I took a leap of faith on myself, because I'm in a way better position than I was back then, and it's just amazing. And I freaking love it. Because like, if I didn't take a leap on myself back then, like, I would have never known who I really was, or it would have taken longer, or I don't know what would happen, to be honest. I probably wouldn't even be here. So I always thank God first, of course, but like, I'm so proud of myself. And you know what, like, even if I wasn't able to go into business with him, you know, once I found out that he wasn't serious about it anyway, like, I lost faith in him anyway, with even trying to build anything with me. But like, once it was confirmed, you know, I was proud, because, you know, even if I wasn't able to go in business with him, you know, I still came up with my own business plan. And I did it myself. You know, I didn't need him, because he always say like I was too young to him, but I never acted like I was young. Even when I was with him, like, I felt like I was mature. But he always said I was young. That was his issue with me. I was too young, you know. So I came up with my own business plan, and I just did it myself, because like, I don't need him. You know. So that's why I said, you know, the other day, that I was proud of myself. And I actually have like true contentment, and I'm truly happy. Like, I'm not faking it, you know. It's just, yeah, I had a lot of stuff I had to go through, but like, at the same time, like, I wouldn't change it for anything else. Like, it's been crazy ride, but like, I made it, you know. I'm further than I would have been back in 2019, 2020. So I'm thankful. I'm glad I don't have to deal with that anymore neither. And regardless if I had kids, you know, because that was another thing he would throw in my face of why I couldn't be successful. I was still able to become successful with kids, you know, because the universe always works with me, because the universe, which is God, knows my true intentions. So that's all that matters. So whatever you put out to the universe, of course, is going to come back to you. And whatever you need will always be balanced out for you in the end. So you'll always have what you need in the end, because it has to balance itself out regardless, you know. That's why I don't be tripping, because I know, like, in the end, I'm going to get what I need, because everything's going to be balanced out, because It has to, because I'm balanced, you know. I try to live a balanced life as much as possible, and it has no other choice but to balance itself out. So, yeah. But Mercury retrograde has been crazy. Really crazy for me. So, and then my headlights started working the other day, like literally the day after they weren't working. And that's why I said as a part of Mercury retrograde, because the following day they started working, and I was just like, what the heck. But it's gonna be here until the 15th of December, so brace yourself. But I hope you guys have a great Tuesday, and I'm gonna go chill. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Love you. Bye.